Hey there everybody, Eric from OUTER LIMITLESS coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we are going to do a quick unboxing of the Dark Timber Knives Tavi. Now if you've been following along with Dark Timber Knives, Peter Kohler has been creating a series of drops from time to time of his mid-tech knife lineup, and that's exactly what we have here today. So I've been pretty lucky. Actually, I've tried to buy Dark Timber Knives 4 times and I'm 4 for 4. So you gotta work quick. You have to be extremely fast. These knives sell out in literally a matter of seconds. I actually had my hands on the Dark Knight model, which was the newest model in this particular drop, but unfortunately it literally sold out from underneath me while I was checking out. However, I did manage to get back in, grab this Tavi real quick, and so because of that, I can talk to you about it today. Now this isn't one of the newest knives in the lineup. This has been out for a little while, but I have not personally myself seen it or had my hands on it. Now this is an unboxing. I haven't even looked at this yet, so if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. And so now, getting into this here, very typical of all Dark Timber Knives packaging. This is how literally every knife I've gotten so far has looked. It's had the same sort of box, same sort of branding. There you go, right on the end. So as you look here, the Tavi, this is in desert ironwood with black micarta, a red liner, and this is the AEBL satin finish. Now, believe me when I say, you don't really get a choice of features when you go to buy one of these Dark Timber Knives. You kind of get what you can click on the fastest. So in a way, the first one you see is the first one you grab. And this happened to be what I believe is the very last knife available in this drop. I just happened to get back in time and pick one up. But as you get in here, same sort of packaging like I mentioned that you always get, nice and protected. And here, the Tavi. So first thing, now that this is in my hands, I'm actually shocked at how small this is. This is much smaller than I would have expected by what I've seen. The fact is, I mean, when you really look at this in this sheath, this is a tiny little knife. And actually, that's pretty awesome. I like the fact that this is very small. So now, as I get into the details here, this sheath is very nice. And I can tell you already by looking, this is a JRE sheath. Now, JRE is a company that makes sheaths for a number of different companies. They make sheaths for a ton of different knives, but you will see a lot of their work on, these days, the Dark Timber lineup, but also things like, for example, LT Wright and Battle Horse knives, and I believe, and I could be wrong, that they have done some work with Bark River. So very interesting, the fact that now Dark Timber uses them, and I don't think exclusively, but certainly on a number of their models. And so as I get into the details here on the sheath, a couple of nice rivets or grommets. These are definitely suitable for small lashing points, which is nice. This is a good quality belt sheath. Now, to me, this is actually the perfect size knife when you're getting into like a belt style carry. When you start getting a little bit larger, for me personally, I do like to have more of a dangler style, but for a knife of this size, being a nice, small, and compact belt knife, I definitely appreciate the belt carry sheath. A lot of the JRE sheaths do have a fire steel loop. The fact of the matter is you have one here, which is great. And generally these are nicely stitched and nicely welted. So good, clean lines, but I don't know if these are technically hand stitched. But what I can tell you is if they're not hand stitched, there may be a little bit of marks in there from the machine. So this might be machine stitched, but it's very nicely done. The die is actually reasonably even. You can see a little bit of kind of like a tiger striping in there. I think that's just kind of the technique that they use to apply the die. But overall, a good quality, serviceable sheath. And so now getting into the knife, carefully drawing this out of here. Whoop. There we go. So, wow. So all the Dark Timber knives come heavily oiled right off of the get-go. It doesn't matter whether it's a good quality stainless steel or a carbon steel. I have found that no matter what, these things come extremely oiled, so that's the case here. Just getting rid of that little packaging. This came nice and protected. So even though you just have a leather sheath, it's not like it's Kydex, but I like the fact that this comes protected so that when it's in the sheath, you have the ability to draw the knife out and everything is nicely protected. This is surprisingly small. I mean, look how small and dainty this knife is. Man, I'll tell you, this is in a size class that I don't really have in this caliber. I mean, believe me, I have a lot of nice knives, and I really don't have anything this small that is this nice. This is beautiful. You end up with this black G10 bolster, this beautiful desert ironwood, a gorgeous black liner with the red uptight next to that exposed tang. And the thing about the Tavi, which is really nice, is it does have a radiused and just beautifully raised tang. That's both on the top and the bottom, and very comfortable in the hand, I can tell you immediately. I actually like knives that do that. I have a couple other models that are very similar. I'll actually talk about that in a minute. But I do like having that exposed tang. It's just a different look. Now, I think it's either something you like or something you don't. It's definitely a taste. However, what I can tell you is when you look at that from the side profile, it is just magnificent. So this does have the two logos on here, so both on the right and left-hand side of the blade. So you end up with both logos. This is just gorgeous. This isn't exactly jimping on the top, but it just has some nice file work. It's almost like the reverse of jimping in a way where, you know, the actual sort of spine is still exposed on the top and rounded out, but then you get a nice spot for your thumb just to purchase right on there. Then the rest of the spine, not incredibly sharp, but I would say sharp enough that it should strike a ferro rod or do some scraping. Now, I think that's going to be important for this knife to be able to do that because of its nice, small, utilitarian size, but also in a way, to be honest with you, because you added the sort of fire loop to this sheath, why not have the ability for the knife to actually do the work? So a good quality little serviceable field knife here with a high saber grind, beautiful AEBL steel, and of course, razor sharp. So now at this point, let me clean up this oil, just get it out of the way, and we'll talk about this in a little bit of further detail. Here you will see this does have 3 bolts that hold the scales on with basically Allen bolts. Now, part of the reason why this was designed the way it was is because you can remove the scales and actually use this as a skeletonized handle. So in essence, because you have that exposed tang on the top, but it's nicely rounded out, it gives you the ability to remove the handle scales and still have a good, lightweight, serviceable knife. Now, that to me is something that, quite honestly, I would probably never do it. I don't know why you would really want to do that. I don't completely understand, but to each their own. And not for nothing, but if this was a good, hard use companion blade for you and you had a problem with the scales, not that I think there's anything wrong with these scales. I don't think you'd have any construction issues. I mean, these are obviously incredibly well made. These are nice dovetail design. Excellent fit and finish overall. Everything's tight. Everything's epoxied together really well. Handcrafted, amazingly beautiful. No gaps, no like pockets. In fact, when you look at the grain even, the grain is nice and tight. You know, sometimes wood has the potential to have imperfections, which could potentially cause weakness in the wood. Absolutely no problems here. So I don't think you'd have an issue with your handle scales. Now, do you want to take this and lash it to a pole and use it for a spear? Maybe. Quite honestly, I would use it to carve myself a spear before I would really lash this to the end of a pole first. So, what's the need? I don't know. I'm not going to say gimmicky. Don't get me wrong. It's not really gimmicky. I just think it's really more or less impractical for what most people would do with this knife. But that's not to say that the fit and finish and the exposed tang with that nice rounded tang, it's just beautiful. It feels good in the hand, excellent ergonomics. I love the way this indexes. I mean, that's one thing that Peter Kohler really gets right. His handles are spectacular. Every one of them I've been very happy with, and this with that nice pronounced finger guard, perfectly rounded out. I mean, no hot spots there. Nice and rounded out, and it just falls into place in your hand. This is one of the nicest small knives that I have held. I mean, just awesome the way this feels. Now, AEBL being a great choice for a knife like this, it's going to be rust resistant. The stainless is a good option for a small serviceable knife, especially in, wetter environments, things like that. So a nice overall choice of materials all put together in a beautiful package, this mid-tech build, really striking the balance between sort of that, I would call it, repeatable result. So that's the thing about a mid-tech knife. It's a repeatable result from copy to copy to copy. So this knife being the exact same size and shape and fit and finish as anybody else's. Yet, at the same time, these nice little hand touches, all the little hand work that goes into a dark timber knife, just beautifully done. And that's where Peter Kohler has this absolutely nailed. And so now to roll in a couple of other options to show you how small this knife really is. So for example, here you have a Mora. So this Mora here is the Craftline Pro S in stainless steel, that being the S. And you'll see the overall blade length of this Tavi is just shorter. And so here, this is the Hella Knives ARV. Again, and this ARV, don't get me wrong, that's a small knife. This Tavi, this thing is just tiny, but amazing. Like I said, I really don't have a knife in this exact size class. And something that I haven't really talked about on my channel too much, here you have a Kislar Supreme Nikkei. Now that might be the closest I have, but again, the Nikkei just being larger. So as I go through, every one of these knives that I have, and even some of my smaller options, aren't really as fine and compact as this. But this is just an amazing look. And as I kind of rotate the knife here, I am noticing that the lines on the grind are just really soft. They're not like hard and pronounced. When you get into some of these other manufactured knives, really the grinds are just hard angles. But this Tavi, everything is just sexy, curvy, and just smoothed out. Real nice around the entire blade, but then that one really straight line across the top where you can do some striking. Just amazing. This thing is gorgeous. And so real briefly, discussing another knife that I've really loved, the Exposed Tang. Here you have the Tops Knives Longhorn Bowie. Actually covered this in a prior video at length. This knife has been great, and one of the features that I have greatly enjoyed is that Exposed Tang. But get a load of this. Wow, what a difference in size. Yeah, believe me, this Tops Longhorn Bowie, this thing's a monster. But again, just this dainty little awesome companion knife. This could get paired up with anything and you would be in wonderful shape. You could use this definitely as a neck knife if you got a good Kydex option for it. Some people rock leather around their neck, no problem at all. This knife is sweet. Good little lanyard hole. Beautiful fit and finish. Again, I just love the guard. I love the way that fits in my hand. This little Tavi is a gem. So alright guys, there you have it. A real quick unboxing of this Dark Timber Knives Tavi. Again, just a beautiful blade here. AEBL steel. Good quality serviceable steel for the field. Not going to be worried about rust. Going to be good and really pretty good for sharpening and definitely field serviceability, which is nice. Good quality overall comfort and ergonomics. This knife just absolutely melting into my hands, which I love about this. The finger guard, the fit and finish, the scales, the construction, the overall beauty. Desert ironwood with that black G10, the gorgeous red liners, these nice quality bolts holding everything together, and a nice quality sheath. So overall, you really can't go wrong with this package. It just looks classy. It's a good quality size, goes nicely on your hip. You could use this for field use, EDC purposes. You could use this to do some skinning and processing of food. probably some light woodscraft if you needed to. Actually, probably could do some heavy duty woodscraft. I mean, knowing Peter Kohler's quality, I'm sure he would stand by his product even if you beat this thing. And I know it could take it. So overall, you really can't go wrong. However, if you're gonna get your hands on one of these, you have to act fast. So keep your eye out for future drops with Peter Kohler and his mid-tech knives. These mid-tech dark timber knives, just absolutely amazing. So all right guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.